All right, it's that time again. Time for another midweek video, and I'm thinking my 5 favorite kit items. Let's get to it. Now, this video here is different from most of my videos. We show kit items and how to build the kit, and this emergency kit for this get home bag for that, your 10-pound kit, your 25-pound kit. I want to show you certain items that I consider to be my favorite of all time. Some you've seen in my videos, some you have not, and some people have asked about. So on that note, let's go ahead and kick this off with my 5 top favorite kit items. Now before we get started, these 5 items are in no particular order. 3 of the items are in a group, and you can buy them as a group, and I also carry them as a group, so I'm going to consider them one item. But you get the idea. The first one here is a leather sheath, and it's made from a guy named Justin Allen Sigmund. There's no actual website yet. There's no Etsy store yet. He's not selling them on Amazon or eBay that I know of as yet. All he has is a simple email address. I'm going to post that in my video description box. He was a student of mine, and he brought this to class and handed it to me and said, "Here you go." And I was instantly sold on this. This right here is made from Crazy Horse water buffalo leather. You have copper rivets that run all the way through this. The sides are sealed up. He also included something that's very important to me since back in the military days. He popped in here a small weep hole. It's popped in right there at the bottom. It's actually on the opposite side of a rivet. So it's like almost naturally there. And that's important to me because where I live here in Ohio, sometimes it just downpours within seconds. And I've had these things, and I've brought this up to previous individuals from different companies. Said, "Hey man, how come there's no weep hole in here?" "Oh, you don't need that." And you pull the knife out and it's full of rust. Well, this guy thought of that. So now if it were to become immersed from a rainstorm, or you had to go through a creek or a stream that was waist deep, it fills full of water, guess what? It's going to run out the bottom. And again, that's important to me. That's a selling point to me. Just seeing that, I was like, I'm sold. Another important feature on this that he thought about, I'll show you a picture of this right here, is the belt loop is actually offset. So a lot of people I've seen, they take their knives and they have them on their hip and have to try to stick it straight down inside there. I personally have never been cut, but I have heard of individuals cutting themselves that were inexperienced or quickly trying to put it away. This sets it kind of like in an angle, so you can come in from the side like an angle. That makes sense? Also, it's there so you're not going to cut any gear, strapping, things like that. And it fits comfortably as well. Another issue I always take with certain sheaths is that when I get in my vehicle, my knife is still on my hip. And it lands right where the seat belt is, and you sit down and it rocks back and forth. And I have, with cheaper sheaths, actually ripped that belt loop right off there. This sits angled upward, so that when I sit down, it's actually kicked upward in an angle, and there's no pressure on that belt loop. So there's a lot of thought process that went into this. And like I said, there is no website as of yet, but I've gotten a ton of people asking me. They see this sticking out through my shirt or underneath is, "Oh man, where'd you get that?" And I didn't want to say anything because to my knowledge, you couldn't buy them anywhere. But he's getting ready to kick this off, working out of his garage. And a lot of companies start that way, and then they get the opportunity to blow up. And so what I'd like to do is I have his permission to give you guys his email address. You can hit him up. He can customize these to whatever size knife you want, or buy the standard one. And the beauty of this also, the leather, you can pop a knife in here, and then you can actually wet form this by soaking it in a bucket of water, and then push it around the shape of that knife, and it will hold it in place. That way when you shake it up and down, the blade don't fall out of there. My opinion, these should always be high enough to where there's just a small stick out of the knife handle, but to each their own. If you're interested in something like this, hit him up. The link is in the video description box, and his name is Justin Allen Sigmund. Now this next item, just like the first one, was shown to me by one of my students. And I instantly fell in love because I like things that are multi-use, that people actually thought about. Instead of taking a big gigantic spool of cordage, number 36 bank line that's that big around and this long that takes up room in a pack or a butt pack, I can now remove that cordage, wrap it onto something like this, and guess what? It's flat. I got about 200 feet of cordage on here for number 36 bank line, tarred bank line, and you see how flat that is. This can be shoved into a cargo pocket, butt pack on my harness that I carry, haversack, glove box, or take up very little room inside of a small side pocket or a pouch on a backpack. Now the cool thing about this is that it has two other options on here as well. You have a holder here on the side for a mini Bic lighter. So they thought about that. They're like, we could put a full size on here or one of the small ones. I'm already going to carry a full size in my pocket. Now I have a redundancy of a Bic lighter on the side of this. And here's the thought process on that. Most cordage, like paracord, you have to melt the ends. So that's why they included that. Bank line, you don't have to. But you can pop that off, burn it, and you're good to go. Next thing, there's a built-in razor blade right here. So as you remove the cordage off of this, you can just slide it down in there and cut it right off and get her done. Versus pulling your knife back out or a pocket knife, opening it, cutting it, putting it away or putting the knife away. It's already built in. Just get it off there and cut it. This is made by Spool Tool. And it says patent pending right there. Now I've seen several knockoffs. Most of these knockoffs are from individuals that own 3D printers, or they find somebody who has a 3D printer and they copy them, they change 2 to 4% to avoid, the patent laws, but then they call it their own. If a 3D copied version of something is sold to you or you choose to buy it and it's not patent pending, then that company or those individuals didn't invent it. Because if they did, they'd patent it, okay? So I always try to go with the original OG, the original gangster, okay? The people that came up with it first, I want to give them credit to it. And this one right here is patent pending by Spool Tool. And this can be found in my Amazon affiliate store, and that link is in my video description box. Moving right along, let's talk about knives and knife sharpening. For several years I used a diamond stone and then those whetstones and carried that stuff around with me, and for the most part it works well. But the problem I always had was, if you use your knife for say a day, in my opinion, I don't need to use 3 different stones to sharpen that. A leather strop where you go backwards on the blade 10 times on each side and you're back in the game. It's razor sharp, takes the hair right off your arm, and I've shown that before. This leather strop here looks like a paddle, and those that are Gen Xers and older, you know all about those wooden paddles. Keep your ass in line. My parents used to buy us those plastic or wooden paddles with the elastic and the rubber ball. You bounce them around, and then knowing full well we'd break them, and then they'd take it from us, and then they'd use that to keep us in line. Good times. Made me the upstanding citizen I am today. But this company here is called Butz, B-U-T-Z, and I'm sure it's not pronounced Butz, probably pronounced something else, but you can get these on Amazon. It's on my Amazon link in the video description box. You have a beveled angle right here, flat surface, and another flat surface. And it's just a leather wrapped wooden paddle. Now you get some type of honing solution, that green crayon looking thing, or I prefer the white Tormek. It's in a small squeeze tube. Rub it on there. And I have one side coated and one side not. And all you do is just hold on to it, take that blade, and just drop it backwards, backwards, backwards. 10 times on this side, 10 times on that side. Then you want to hone it. Knock off the burrs. Get the leather, 10 times one side, 10 times the other side. Flip it over. Do the exact same thing. Or you can get fancy and use both hands. And like I mentioned, once you go ahead and you do any heavy carving tasks, as long as you strop that knife and then hone it up at the end of the day, it should be almost brand new. And as long as you keep it that way, in my opinion, the only time you're going to need to use stones is if your knife becomes a butter knife, right? Makes sense. Now, the first grouping is that leather strop and two knives I want to show you. No, I don't carry both these knives at the same time, but I want to show you two of my personal favorites. They're both from Mora. The first one is a Mora Bushcraft Black. It is not a full tang knife. It means the blade passes through the handle, stops about right here, and it is probably about half the width of the blade. It's called a rat tail tang. You have what resembles a Scandi grind on here, and it's also a carbon steel knife, which means you could use a piece of flint or chert or quartz and actually throw sparks off of this onto, say, a piece of char cloth or char material as the same you would with flint and steel, and then get an ember and then transfer that ember and blow it in the flame. But these things sell for $40. Some of them I've seen for actually $38. Depends on the type of sheath. This is a standard plastic sheath. Sometimes there's not a knife sharpener built into the side of it, along with a ferro rod, and those tend to be a little bit more pricey. It just depends on what you want. But going the cheapest route, you're looking for around 40 bucks, and you can't go wrong with that. The next one here is made by Mora also, and is a Mora Garberg. The blades are almost identical, almost. It resembles a Scandi grind, carbon steel. The blade passes all the way through the handle and pops out the back here for a small pommel. And it is also sharp as well. Both these knives have a sharp 90-degree spine on here that will throw sparks from a ferrocerium rod. This also comes in stainless steel. And depending on the sheath option, this one was standard leather. There's a Kydex one that I've seen. There's also a plastic one. And it could be anywhere from $70 to $90. For a beginner full tang bushcraft knife, you can't go wrong with this. Now I showed this, I want to say it was still wintertime. Might have been around February or March, somewhere in there. And it was a different type of camo. And I mentioned that at some point, the camouflage ones were going to come out. So here we are. This is made by Light Sleeper. He's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, and I'll drop this link in my video description box. And just click on it to take you right to the site where you can get one of these. This is a Poncho Liner on steroids. And a lot of thought went into this. If you notice a theme here with the items that I'm showing you, there's a thought process, there's a method to the madness. Somebody actually sat down and thought, we can do this. What if we add this? That will work, that won't. They didn't just grab somebody's work, copy it, and claim it was theirs. This is one of my favorite items. I fell in love with it. The problem I had was the color. Now we're looking at the woodland camo, and tell you what, you got to see it. Let's check it out. Here's the seam that we talked about. It meets right here. On this end, near the pillow, you have an opening, which creates an open airspace or a hollow tube all the way down to my opposite end. The opposite end is sewn shut. The pillow also has an opening right here. Other than that hollow tube in the pillow, which we'll talk about here in a minute, it's a standard Poncho Liner. It even has the tie-outs at the corners and along the sides. You can lay this thing out just like we showed, put an actual military style poncho on top of that, and tie your strings through the grommets and create the sleeping bag that I show you over and over again with my gear loadouts. You can take it, wrap it around your body. Even get in front of a fire, open it up, trap that heat. What else can you do? Turn it diagonal, so you have your corners in a diamond shape, and tie it up underneath a hammock as an underquilt. Now, let's get back over here and talk about that hollow tube. The tube is hollow, so it will fit a standard size isomat or thermarest. You can just open it up and you can slide it inside there and work it all the way down to where you have a pad that's built into your whoopee. And the pillow can be stuffed with extra clothes or even leaves or grass, and then you can fold it over and lay down. Another option for that hollow tube is stuff it full of leaves, stuff it full of dead grass, foliage, whatever you need to get that 4 inches of compressed dead airspace in there that will keep your body off that ground and prevent conduction or your body heat being pulled away from you through contact with the earth. So again, a lot of thought process went into this, and right now it's one of my favorite things. And we're going to save the best for last. So think of this as my personal favorite of my favorites. We have the Camp Companion by Hardcore Hammers. This is made from 4140 ordnance steel. So when you think of ordnance, think of rounds that go down range, explode, and go boom. Made in the USA, everything on this. All of their items from that store is made in the USA. The head itself weighs around, I want to say 26 ounces, somewhere in there. We have a patented waffle cone design on the pole. That's meant to drive nails as well as drive stakes, wood, plastic, or metal. We can go ahead and choke up on this right here. On most roofing hammers, there's an indentation right here that's designed to remove nails and screws. We opened it up and rounded it with a bevel. That way you can place your fingers up inside there and do carving tasks out in the woods. And lastly, at the top, just like a bushcraft knife, we have a sharp 90-degree spine that runs along the top where you can use it to strike a ferro rod. And last but not least, these two items go together. We have the Hardcore Hammers honing solution and hockey puck sharpener. You have a coarse and a medium side and a leather carrying case with 2 slits right here for your belt. And lastly, before we get out of here, I've been saying this for about 2 or 3 months. I'm part of a new group called Survival Mastery Online. We have a new YouTube channel that just started last week. That link will also be found in my video description box. If you're a follower of mine, if you subscribe to my channel, please do me a favor. Run over there, subscribe to that channel, and tell them I sent you. We want to get that out there. We want to get it seen. We want to get it heard. We're going to drop weekly content from some of the trainers that you're going to see on the actual Survival Mastery website, give you video teasers, tips and tricks online, and overall good information. Along with that, any discounts that come up in the future, we're going to post there. Any events that we're going to be at, we're going to post there as well. So please check that out. Survival Mastery Online on YouTube. With that, let's get out of here. All the gear in my videos can be found in 2 places. 1, my Amazon affiliate page, and 2, my Etsy store. Both links are found inside my description box. Now please do me that favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. And as always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.